Okay, so service businesses, so like electrical contractors, heating, gas, plumbing engineers, HVAC technicians, those types of businesses. This is how I would go about scaling and becoming more profitable in this digital world that we live in nowadays. And this is exactly what we're doing with one of our clients at the moment, Ed. We're kind of walking him through this process and supporting him doing it. So I'm going to give you sort of a high level of, what we're doing with Ed. So the first thing, let's just say that you're an electrician. Okay, the first thing that you want to do is actually, if you want to become specialized, and let's just focus on like something within the controls, automation, BMS, smart home, industrial controls, one of those industries or sectors where you can specialize. You want to specialize, become a specialist, where there's less supply for the demand. With just being a regular electrician, every man and his dog is an electrician. There's a low barrier to entry. It's becoming a race to the bottom in terms of what you can charge and the amount of time that you've got to get put in for what you get back in terms of financial reward. So the first thing is specialize and get that technical understanding. So specialize, and my spelling is going to be completely off here. So yeah, it is what it is. So the first thing is to actually specialize and build a specific skill set that you can then start to leverage later on. So like Ed, for example, he's already specialized. He's already got this technical understanding where he can deliver controls and automation projects, industrial projects. He's already been doing that for a while. So he's already got that technical understanding, that expertise. But that's not kind of the first thing. So he can do full project delivery, PLC programming. He's done it before. He's been doing it for a while. Like he's got that skill set. So yeah, that's the first thing. A specialist technical skill set that you can actually leverage for a good amount of money. That's not, you're not a commodity ultimately. So that's the first thing. Ed's already got that. Now, this is the bit that we're kind of at with Ed at the moment. We're just kind of thinking about where he should go, because this is the next thing. Once you've got the technical skill set, certainly in what we do in controls, automation, BMS, smart home, like it's an underlying skill set in electrical controls that can point you down any of these sectors. And in the industrial sector alone, like it's just crazy how much opportunities there. Like oil and gas, manufacturing, pharmaceutical, food and drink. And that's where Ed is more familiar, food and drink. So then it's like we need to think about the niche, like, the niche, the sector to specialize in, because, and I've made this mistake and it's hard. What you want to do is you kind of want to feel like, you want to cast a wide net, a broad net, so you can capture as many different projects and sell as many different people as possible your solution, your service. But doing that, it's kind of like just being a generic electrician. You're not really specializing. So like we've moved one step, but now there's just so much opportunity. Just being like a general sort of controls and automation engineer is too broad. And let's say that let's say that you want to focus on smart homes. Great. So your sort of offer, the person that you're focusing on is specifically in the market for a smart home, and you're presenting yourself as smart home specialist, because it's far more likely that if you are the guy capable of doing smart homes, you are Mr. Smart Homes, smart homes, smart homes, smart homes. let's say a client is like looking at 5 different providers, and say, I'm not saying this is necessarily going to be the case, but let's say that like 3 out of the 5 are just general controls and automation businesses, and then like the other 2 are like specialist smart home contractors. They've been doing it for years. They really understand the client, the problems that they face, how to solve those problems, how to do it in a cost-effective way, efficiencies, etc., etc. And they are the guys. They are specialists. It's like if you've got an issue with your brain, you're more likely to go with a brain surgeon than you are a general surgeon. So it's a similar sort of thing. So Ed's got a lot of experience in food and drink, but that's quite broad. So now we're thinking, well, what can you niche down into to provide like a controls and automation service, product, solution in that area? And Ed is surrounded by wineries, within this food and drink industry. So that's kind of the next thing, is sort of niche down into an area that you're familiar with, but it's even more narrow. And then what you want to do, once you've decided on that, you need to verify that you can actually provide services, solve problems for this specific niche, doing whatever it might be. And that's where you've got to do some market research. So now you spend your time doing market research, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to just assumption is the mother of all fuck ups. You don't want to just assume that you know what this market, this niche, this avatar wants. You want to be absolutely 100% sure that what you're going to put together in terms of like your offer and your service is what people want and what they're going to spend money on. So this takes time, but it's so worth doing, because if you don't do this, like, and just make assumptions, you can carry on down this path, which I'm going to show you, but you might have created something that no one wants, and you don't actually understand your client or your customer. So this took me, like, I did this before I started my business that I have now. I did this for about a month, and I gathered loads and loads of data, and I saw like the common things that people wanted, and you could see patterns. When you're collecting this data, you keep seeing patterns, like, and then you're like, oh, this is the top thing that keeps coming up. This is the second thing. This is the third. This is the fourth. This is the fifth. So it's like, and then you'll have like tens of other different problems, but they don't really repeat. It's like the odd one here and there. But with those 5 problems, you now know like exactly what your market is struggling with, and then you can start creating an offer, and a service around those problems, because you know people have them. And if there's problems and pain points, people are most likely going to want to solve those pains and problem points through paying for it, and this is kind of like what businesses are all about, is solving problems for people. So yeah, market research, and you do this until you're 100% confident that now moving forward. And when I talk about moving forward, like for me, I plan to develop this thing for like 3 months, and a year and a half, 2 years later, I'm kind of coming to the end of the first big iteration, let's say. So why I'm telling you that is because this is so key. Like, I spent a month doing this market research, and I'm glad I did, because I could have got like 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, a year down the line, wondering why no one wants my services or products. And it's because I put something together, and I'm glad I did, because I was going to put something together that was slightly different to what actually came from all this market research. So you do this until you're 100%, or you can never be 100% confident, but pretty sure that what you're going to do moving forward is going to be what people want and are willing to pay for and put money where their mouths are. So I can't stress that enough. That is so important to do market research. And then we're getting into the offer, and this is massive, and people overlook the offer. Is how are you, like, what is your front end offer? What are you presenting to people? Now you might have like a service, and a service that solves a collection of problems, like maybe 5 key problems, but you don't just list those problems in your front end offer. For example, we loosely, what we do is like we help contractors and businesses in electrical, mechanical and HVAC become more profitable in controls, automation, BMS. Now there's lots of little things that we solve within that offer, within that front end offer, but what you want to present it as is like the main thing or the big problem that keeps coming up. And you keep it kind of like high level. You can't just go, when you're just presenting a front end offer, kind of what you do, who you help, how you do it, timeframes, etc. It's got to be within a sentence or two. So that's when you then, once you've got that market research, you can then create a front end offer, an appealing offer that appeals to these people, that's going to make them, like, let's just say that it's an ad on Facebook or something, and they're scrolling, they actually see this offer, catches their eyes, and they're like, wow, that's a bloody good offer. That's really, really good. I'm interested. So that's what a good offer does. And then obviously you need to back up your offer and fulfill on your offer, but it needs to be bloody good. So that's kind of the next stage. Now what have we got next? So now we've got our niche, we've got our offer. Now what we can do is we can start securing and winning projects in that area. Now Ed's already done that. Like, Ed's already got the technical, and he's already been doing some projects in that area. But we're kind of rethinking now, because he's going quite broad, which a lot of people do, which I've done as well, because there is that scarcity mindset. You want to cast a wide net, but specializing means that you're a specialist, means that you understand things on a deeper level, which means that you can charge more for your services because you're just better at it, because you've gone deep into that thing. So we're still sort of working out what that niche, what that offer is, but it's looking like, Ed's going to go specifically focus on wineries. And I know I'm jumping about a bit all over the place, missing bits and then coming back to it. Like, this is how my brain works. So Ed's going to choose wineries. Where he lives, he's surrounded by wineries. So just logistically, and he can always expand and go more broad later on, like develop into more like broader niches within food and drink. But for now, like, he's based surrounded by a load of wineries. So that means, within an hour, he can be on those sites. So yeah, wineries. And wineries. So once you've decided that and you've crafted a compelling offer after doing your market research, well, now it's like you need to get projects in the door. Okay. Now, this is where, if you're just like a standard electrician, heating engineer, plumbing engineer. Now, obviously, depending on what level you're at in your business, but let's just say that you're, a one-man band. You can't expect, and this is the mistake that when I worked at Loxon, I saw a lot of electrical contractors, a lot of heating engineers, HVAC technicians think and expect, because they're used to it, because, it's what they're used to. You can't expect just projects to land in your lap. Like, I know if you're an electrician, like, people just come to you. Like, the client journey, like me, for example, let's say I need to get my sockets changed or whatever. I'd be like, right, I've got this problem. I can't do it. I will Google electricians Suffolk, where I live, and then a load of people will come up, and then I'll call them. I'll call the best person, or call a couple of people, get a couple of quotes, whatever. Like, you're specialized now. This is a specialist thing. You're not like a commodity. So that means that you actually have to go out there and market and sell your services. This is the realities of it, but it's worth it, because once you understand how to do this and you've systematized this, you've got a good offer. Now you know how to do lead generation, and now you know how to then nurture those leads into a project. So it's critical. You need to learn this stuff if you want to be a specialist and be successful with a specialist skill set. So then you can land projects and you can start actually doing the work. Which is basically, then you've got a technical service business, or let's say a specialist, oh, that'll do, specialist technical service business. Okay, brilliant. Now you keep going, you keep getting more projects in. You might change things, you might iterate your services, your offer slightly, but you stay in that same niche. You just get better and better and better at serving this niche, this winery niche. You really understand them. You get better and better. You keep delivering projects. You keep learning. You build up these relationships, and then you start getting good positive word of mouth. You get testimonials, which is going to help you get more projects, because you got social proof, you got trust, etc. Hopefully you're capturing reviews on like a Google business page, etc. Great, things are rolling, and you've got a nice business, a nice growing business. Okay, now there's only so far like you can go, and there's only so much time and energy and resources that you have as one person. So if you want to continue growing and build an asset, that in 5-10 years time, you don't necessarily have to be involved with, and the business kind of runs itself, and you're moving closer to financial freedom, or building an asset that you can then sell, and you've got a nice big pot of money that you can go and do whatever with. Like, to get to that point, you need to start building a team. You're going to have to build a team to help you scale it and get you more time and more resources. And I'm just going to remove this because it's just kind of getting in the way. And so you're now building a team. You're scaling your business through building a team, which kind of leads into SOPs, standard operating procedures. So, and it also, there's training that has to happen here. And I've spoke to people that they don't want to do these steps. They don't want to take these steps. They don't want to actually, like, one guy I'm thinking of it specifically that I spoke to is like, he doesn't want to do control panel builds. Like, he wants to build this business in this area. This isn't Ed that I'm talking about. This is another guy. He wants to grow his business, but he doesn't want to do control panel building. He just wants to sub it out. But then he wants to like support these systems like on site, do the commissioning and stuff. And like, he hasn't actually got, like, fair enough, you can do that once you actually understand control systems, control panels. But like, you've got to, the point I'm making, you've got to do all of these steps yourself to enable you to then train a team, for you to be able to do all of this in-house, where you're not relying on third-party contractors. Like, that's just, it's too risky. Yeah, it's quicker and it might get you further along in the short term, but then you're tied to people. You haven't got it in-house. You haven't got that expertise. How can you can't rely on anyone in this world, especially in business. Like, you need to be self-sufficient. So the only way of really doing that is to have everything in-house and go through all of these stages, whether it's technical, whether it's marketing, whether it's sales, whether it's like developing a team, and obviously that gets to a certain point where you're a big business, like 25, 50 people, where you can't do all of this. But certainly, micro small business, as the founder, the owner, the leader of the business, you need to do all of this yourself. You need to understand it, because then how are you ever going to, like, people can pull the wool over your eyes if you don't understand this stuff. So you need to understand it, and you need to then teach your team. Like, you are the guy, and you need, like, what needs to now flow down into your team, in whatever area that they're in. So you need to train them. And this is where to scale a team and get like multiple people on board, like multiple technicians, engineers, if you want to do things properly with standard operating procedures, with systems, because you cannot scale without systems, without operations, without standard practices. Like, you just can't, and it's a mess, and people are just doing their own thing. You've got nothing, you've got no procedure that you can get X out of if you can get Z out of if they do X and Y. You got to test these things yourself to know what's achievable, so whether people are actually performing or not. And if they're not, it's like, why aren't you performing? And you can have that conversation. You need to have all of this stuff if you really want to scale. And then it just means like onboarding people, getting people up to a certain standard is far easier because other people have done it. And anyway, so it's really boring. It's really boring, but it's essential. So creating SOPs to train your team. To train your team and systemize how you're going to scale your business. And now this is where it gets really exciting, and where you can then start to leverage. I don't know how long a time frame it takes to get to this point, like, you kind of decide. But this is where it gets really exciting, and this is where you can really start to scale things. So you've got now a specialist technical service business with a team with standard operating procedures that's running, that's running nicely. Now what you can do, if you want, and this is what, in this digital age that we're in now, and this is kind of what we're helping Ed get set up for. It's going to take a bit of time to get there, but we're going to help him do this whilst running in parallel with doing this, is becoming a consultant. And in this digital age, you don't necessarily have to be a consultant with trading your time for money. You can produce training and resources like as pre-recorded, and like you might offer like some one-on-one stuff, you might offer some one-to-many stuff, but you're able to get more for your time. So for example, you decide to go down the consultancy as route, helping other people or other businesses similar to you, similar backgrounds to you, do what you've done. And that's what it's all about, like business consulting. So people that started off back where you were, you can show them this process, and you can help them, get to this point and this point with a team far quicker. People want to get places quickly. They don't want to delay things, generally speaking. They've got the right mindset. They're driven people. People are, well, it depends on what you value more. Like, do you value time more, or do you value money more? And the people that value time, and this is usually business owners, entrepreneurs that have goals and actually want to achieve these goals, they value their time more, because that's the only resource that you're never going to get back. Like, money comes and goes. You can earn money, you can lose money, but it comes and goes. Time, we don't know how much time we've got. So it's like, what do you want to do? Do you want to pay to get somewhere quicker, or paying with money, or do you want to pay with time? So obviously this depends on the person, but most business owners, entrepreneurs, like, they get it. So you can record like trainings, you can provide these SOPs, and this is where you've created these SOPs for your internal team, but now you can also use those SOPs as part of resources and trainings in terms of your within your consultancy business that's going to help new guys, and it's just a massive value add to help them systemize their business from the start. So now what you've got, and this is scalable. This is scalable because once you've created this business, a digital consultancy business, like pre-recorded videos, resources, let's say like Ed, who knows how to service wineries, whatever offer he's got, we haven't worked that out yet, but he knows exactly how to service these winery businesses. He knows how to help their internal maintenance teams, and he can then package that into an info consultancy product service. And once that's built, yes, you adapt it and you iterate and you develop it over time. And this is the other thing, as you're still doing this and you're learning more and you're growing and you're getting bigger and you're creating more SOPs, like, this just grows your consultancy business, because you're actually learning real time, you're still in the trenches, you're doing stuff, which is then, it's kind of like a revolving wheel that then your consultancy business gets better and better. You're continually helping these other guys come through, and you're helping them scale. They're going to be a few steps ahead of you all the time, and you just keep passing back that knowledge. You're not hoarding knowledge, but you're actually capitalizing off your knowledge. And why shouldn't you? Because you've been through this process, you've done the work, and now you're making it a hell of a lot easier for other people. So yeah, you've got this thing now in a package, and because it's in digital format, it's a bit like software. Once you've created it, you can now scale it, because you're not actually providing a service necessarily where you're trading your time for money. Of course, there's always going to be a bit of that, but you've got a product that's built that you can now give to other people like you. So now what you've got is you've got two businesses. You've got your specialist technical service business, which is like your bread and butter, but you've also got your online info business providing consultancy and coaching in the thing that you're doing. So that's the video, and that's how we're helping Ed. And if you're interested in getting our help, click the link in the description. See you later.